All right, everyone, it's finally time for our review of Marvel Spider-Man 2. I know this video, I've been working on it a lot, and partially I've been lazy, I'm not gonna lie, on top of having a prearranged family trip that kind of halted this. I know you all got the video about Mysterio and the Mysteriums. I managed to edit that and put it out while I was out in California, but for now I'm here to give my actual review on Marvel Spider-Man 2. All right, so the first section we have is traversal, and the traversal in this game is one of the best traversal systems I ever seen in any game. It's basically Spider-Man PS4 mixed with Miles Morales, and then just turned up to 11. Peter has his own variation of the Venom dash and jump now. He uses the Iron Spider arms, and on top of that, when you have the symbiote, he uses the symbiote tendrils, which was so cool. I thought they were just gonna reuse like the Iron Spider arms for it, but they actually used the tendrils. And then on top of that, you have a whole bunch of new traversal ways to get around. You have the slingshot, which they actually give you. It's one of the very first skills they give you, so you know you have it. They have the loop de loop, which is just oh my god, it's so fun to pull off. Though if you have fall damage on, be careful when you're swinging, trying to do the loop de loop, because if you hit a roof or just hit anything, you will take damage. And if you like halfway through the loop de loop and say on like the full spin and you hit the roof or like anything like a ledge, you'll just basically kill the character immediately. You also have your corner tethers, which allows you to make quick, sharp turns around buildings. And on top of the amazing web wings, oh my god, what can I say about the web wings that hasn't already been said? It's just, it helps you. Oh my god, I don't even know what to say. See, it helps you feel like, I'd say it helps you feel like Superman in a Spider-Man game, though the wings do not like take over and it feels like your only form of movement. You do want to mix up your web swinging, gain momentum, and then pull out the web wings and just zoom across the sky. It's so great. And here's a little clip of me putting all the movement together. So with that right there, I hope that showed you all how fast you could go. Even then, I don't think that's the best representation of the swing and how well it can be done in this game. There's probably like a million other people you could probably go up on YouTube, somewhere else like on Twitch, and see how fast they can truly go. I feel like I've done it sort of justice, though if you go, as I said before, and see other people, they will be so much better than I am. I'm still honestly trying to learn everything that comes to the traversal system. All right, so the next portion of this review, we have the combat, and boy oh boy is the combat such a better improvement. You first of all, big thing for me is that we have less gadgets. Is because I wasn't really a big gadget person in the first game. The only gadget I really used was the trip mine, and even then I really didn't use it a lot because I'm more of a boots to asses sort of person. So the fact that we have even more abilities is great. With Peter, not only do you have the iron arms and the symbiote abilities, plus a few extra when you get to the anti venom segment of the game. And then there's also Miles with his Venom abilities, and then his evolved Venom abilities. And so as you can see on the screen right now, each ability is tied to a button on the controller, and you hold L1. So L1 in square is like one special, L1 in triangle is another, L1 in X is another, and L1 in circle. And then for Peter and Miles as well, if you press down both left and right sticks at the same time, you activate a sort of like, I want to say like ultimate move in there in Miles' case, but for Peter, it's a rage mechanic like from the God of War series. He enters what's called the symbiote surge, and with most enemies, it's like a 1, 2, 3, and then on the third hit, it's an instant takedown. Though on enemies like the symbiote behemoth, it's gonna take a lot more than just a 3-hit combo to take him down. But the combat is so fun in this game. Trust me. Alright, so for this section of the review, we're going to be going over the enemies you will face during your time playing Marvel Spider-Man 2. So the first group of enemies we come across that are sort of like mainstays for the story is the Hunters, led by Kraven himself. They join him in his great hunt to help hunt the Spider-Man and other superpowered people around New York. Most of them are sort of the exact same from the enemies we've had in Spider-Man 1, but there are a lot more differences in like their range and like melee combat. For instance, the melee hunters, they're one of the first enemies to introduce the parry mechanic to us. The one with the two swords where they have a move where they just jump into the air and slam down the swords on you. You either parry it or you have to jump. You can't just dodge out the way because it's like a big AoE attack that you cannot dodge. And then there's another hunter where it's a ranged enemy, and it's sort of like the same thing as like a regular ranged enemy, except what they will do is with their crossbow, they have a arrow that shoots into you, like if they hit you, and it'll pull you towards them. So you can either, I think you can only parry. I haven't been able to like do a jump out of it. And then there's also the bigger like brute hunters, where there's one where his staff actually renders your gadgets and I think it's mostly just gadgets actually, just your gadgets useless. Though that one mostly comes up in story. If you were to encounter it in crimes, from what I've seen, it's very rare to actually encounter them. As well as with the hunters, they come along with these APCs that have like mounted turrets, or there are even these robotic dogs that they bring out that can also counter your ability. So like they turn off your ability, so you have to take out the dog or either just basically just wait till the dog stops negating your abilities, which I don't think it ever does. And also as well, the hunters, they also have this grenade that if you're in the air, they'll throw it, and you have to have like really fast reaction time in order to grab it, or else it goes off and creates this like laser net in the air, and you are not allowed to like basically be in the air at all, which I've seen some people have a problem with. Though for me, I don't have a problem with it, mostly just because of the fact I like being on the ground anyway. I'm never usually in the air unless I want to trigger like a specific air finisher. Alright, so the next faction you'll come across, it'll probably be after the Hunters, or probably around the same time, is the Flame. They're a cult led by Cletus Cassidy in game. And the enemy variety here, they act sort of the same as regular like criminal thugs, but they're not exactly the same. Like there's one enemy where he has a branding iron, and if you try to web yank him or try to disarm him, he'll like break the web, and you'll see like it kind of causes Spider-Man to stumble forward. And they also have this little attack where if they hit you, they'll knock you down, and you're in a QTE section where you have to mash the square button to get out of it. There's also the same enemies, except they have flamethrower on their back, and they'll try to hit you with it. There's also one move they have where you have to parry them, and as well, if you try to web yank them at all, whether they're on the ground or in the air, they'll use the flamethrower to push themselves back or forward, depending on, I don't know, whatever the AI is feeling. Alright, so for the final enemy faction you'll come across in Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the Symbiote faction. This faction sort of keeps like the main like sort of movements of all the other factions in here, but they also have their own, specifically the purple and green symbiotes. The green symbiotes do this thing where if you try to web strike them at all, they'll leap back and do a big charge attack. So you can either dodge, or what I prefer to do is just parry them so you can get that single hit in. So if they leap back after that and do it again, you can just parry them and keep going until you get them. Or if you just have your finisher, just take them out. And then the purple symbiotes, which they're the ranged enemy of the faction, one thing they do that the hunters do as well is they'll go onto a wall and they'll start shooting you from there. So not only do you have to deal with the enemies in front of you, but also any enemies on the wall. And one thing the purple symbiote does that's interesting just the symbiote faction, they have these symbiote bombs that they'll throw on the ground and they'll slowly move towards you, which you've probably seen in the footage I have playing for this section. But if you don't, they'll all go off at once, and the damage will go off as well. So you'll get hit by one, you'll take that damage. Get hit by another right after, you'll take that damage. Get hit by the third one again, and you'll take that damage. And finally, everyone's favorite one, the symbiote behemoth. This is such a tanky boss, though I don't mind. It's basically like a damage sponge. It's kind of, for me, it's like I like wailing on it until we finally get the bases back. I like just sitting there, just beating on it till it's finally done. This enemy, like you can dump all your, specifically like Peter, like the anti-venom suit you get is designed to help deal with these symbiote enemies. But even with a full, like dumping all your anti-venom abilities into it and using all the sonic burst gadgets, it'll still be standing. It's I don't know. I'd say it's annoying, probably only for me, like when I'm just trying to get done with a crime quickly, and it's just really annoying. But other than that, I enjoy just having like a big old like damage sponge just sitting there that I can just wail on. Alright, so for the final part of this review, we'll be talking about the side missions. The first side missions we're going to talk about is all the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man requests. And I think a lot of those side missions are good, aside from one, but the rest I think were great. They all, I feel, really encapsulate what Spider Man is outside of fighting Venom, Green Goblin, stopping threats that would threaten to take over New York. They encapsulate him being a friendly neighborhood Spider Man, as such in the missions with finding Grandpa, when you're literally helping this young woman find her grandpa who got lost on a walk, and then you sit there with him and talk and listen to him talk about his dead wife. The mission was so great. I remember seeing it for the first time back in the trailer and thinking, "Wow, okay, that's such a stupid mission. Why is there a mission called Finding Grandpa?" And then when you actually play it and you listen to him, it's such a good side mission. And then especially the one with Howard. Howard makes a return from both the first installment from both Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales. And this time you're supposed to help set his pigeons free on their new adventure, which I won't spoil what happens there. You all deserve to go see that side mission yourself. And so the next one, we have the EMF experiments from the Emily May Foundation. And I wasn't really a big fan of those. I think the only one I really liked was the one where you had to ride on the electric bike. But other than that, I wasn't really a fan of them. All right, and then the next side mission is the Prowler stashes, which they're all right. I think they are great at showing us or giving us at least a peek into what Aaron Davis's early days were like as the Prowler. But though I just hate the fact that the upgrade you get at the end is not worth, I think, all the puzzles with how irrelevant stealth is in Marvel Spider-Man 2. The next side mission is the Flame. It's uncontested that it's one of the best side missions in the game. Then the next one's the Cultural Museums. They're all right. I enjoyed them, but it's kind of just that's really it. And then Brooklyn Visions. They're fun. You kind of get to see sort of like students' everyday life. Though I don't know. Just there was one mission I just wasn't a big fan of. Everything else was fine. And then the Symbiote Nests. I enjoy so much. I am a big person who just loves, like, you put me down in a room and I have to fight enemies till I drop or till a certain objective is done. I just enjoy that, especially with the two symbiote nests in the one. I forget where it is specifically, but there's two hearts in a symbiote nest. And I think sometimes, even with Peter's anti-venom, sometimes I think Miles is the better option for some of these just because of his reverse flux, the web grabber, and how you can pull them all in and then use the Thunderburst to smack them all together. And his Mega Venom Blast on top of that. He has multiple AoEs as compared to Peter. He really only has the Symbiote Blast, the Symbiote Yank, and the Anti-Venom Tempest. So I guess you could say they're all even. But honestly, I just enjoy playing as Miles more in the symbiote nests. Alright, so that's it for this Marvel Spider-Man 2 review. Thank you all for watching it. And I'm sorry this took so long. I was lazy, being completely 110% honest. I was lazy. I didn't feel like working on it. And on top of that, I was so busy playing this game initially when it came out, and then I got another game right after, which I may or may not be making a video about it. And there may be some new forms of content coming out in the next couple days, or maybe it's already out by the time this review comes out. Who knows? Maybe when I'm done being lazy and I actually get this out. So anyway, I'll see you all next time. Happy gaming. Because